Now we're going to look at Appendix A. There will be a couple of problems and objectives that we will omit, but we do most of this section. So let's look first at 1A, where we're expressing the percent as a decimal. This is found on page 203 in your learning guide. So if we express the number 270% as a decimal, remember that with percentages, we're going to move the decimal place 2 places to the left to change that to a decimal number. So if I move this 2 places to the left, that would give me 2.7. Okay, so let's do the same thing with the next one. I've got 0.32%. Now that's less than 1%. So don't be confused by the fact that there's already a decimal in that percentage number. That's a tiny, tiny representation of a number. We're going to move, just like we did in 1A, the decimal 2 places to the left, which gives me 0.0032. Okay, now let's go the other direction where we're going to express the decimal as a percent. So if I start with 5.1, to change this decimal to a percent, I'm going to now move the decimal 2 places to the right, which would give me 510%. And we know that that makes sense because remember that 1 is the same thing as 100%. So if I have a number as large as 5.1, that makes sense that it would be representing 510%. Okay, move on to 1D, which we'll omit. We don't really do a lot of work with mixed numbers in this section. Okay, but 1E, we're going to express the percent as a fraction. Okay, so 12.5%. Now remember that percent means per 100. So I can write that as 12.5 per 100. Percent is over 100. Now I don't really want my fraction to also include decimals. So the way that we will change this is if I multiply both the numerator and denominator by 10, that's going to allow me to move this decimal place 1 over. So if I multiply this by 10 over 10, which is 1, then I would get 125 over 1,000, and we'll want to make sure that we reduce the fraction. So when we go to reduce it, actually the numerator and denominator are both divisible by 125. So that would give me 1 over 8 if I divide the numerator by 125 and the denominator by 125. Okay. 1F says express the fraction as a percent. Now I can do this by hand, but you could also type that in the calculator as 13 divided by 50. By hand, if I were to divide 13 by 50, I'd need to extend and write a couple of decimal places. So let's at least go out 1 decimal place. 50 goes into 130 2 times. 2 times 50 is 100. 130 minus 100 is 30. And let's keep going out a couple of decimal places, see if we can get it to terminate. So I'm going to add another 0, bring down the 0. 50 will go into 306 times. 6 times 50, there we go, is 300, which leaves me with the remainder of 0. Now remember, this decimal place, I need that in my answer. So the decimal approximation, actually the decimal equivalent of 13 over 50 is 0.26. So the percentage, we'd need to move the decimal place 2 places to the right, which would give me 26%.